Welcome, friends and neighbors. Welcome back to Strange Times Indeed. Welcome back, I say. Back, of course, it's the very beginning of the program tonight. We're just starting out here, 9 o'clock on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight, and you're watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McCallister here. We are rocking and rolling. We got so many news stories for you to kick off the show tonight. Of course, you might remember we did not do a program last week. Last week, we aired a best-of clip with some of our favorite calls from the program. And if you want to revisit that, if you want to view those, that will be live on the Met Comedy Night YouTube channel by the end of the weekend. So tune in there. You can see some of our favorite calls from past episodes. Strange Times Indeed, of course, as you know, is a call-in show. For this show to function the best way that it's been designed is we will post a Zoom link in the chat over here on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight. If you've got a strange story to tell, if you have encountered anything bizarre, anything unexplained, click that link, you call in, request to join the Zoom room. I will personally let you in, and we will interview you on the air about the strange things you have encountered. That is the main premise. It's the premise and the promise of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, and of course, I am your host, Cliff McCallister. Now tonight we've got some wild news coming up right off the bat. Things you would not believe. Now this is the first story of the night, a big one that we have discussed we have teased for tonight's program. A big story. This is coming out of Nebraska. Now, this is coming from a local media report in Nebraska. This story from coasttocoastam.com. Here's how it begins. A Bigfoot researcher in Nebraska believes that the famed cryptid may have been behind a mysterious incident in which an American flag at a cemetery wound up inexplicably destroyed. That's right. Off the top of our program tonight here on Strange Times Indeed, is Bigfoot ANTIFA? Now, yes, is Bigfoot a member of the famed anti-fascist group ANTIFA? Over a while ago in Nebraska, an American flag was torn down from its space in a cemetery and ripped to shreds. Well, scarcely to believe any American would do something like that, or any human being for that matter. Who's to believe that this flag would get ripped to pieces? Why, it's hard to say. But I'll tell you this much. This Bigfoot researcher in Nebraska, her name is Harriet McFeely, and she owns the Bigfoot Crossroads of America Museum in the nearby community of Hastings, Nebraska. She was granted a chance to look at this torn up, this dismembered flag, and she believes that the culprit of this flag tearing may have in fact been Bigfoot itself. Bigfoot themselves, the Sasquatch we all know and love. Now, in a video describing the incident and her looking at the flag, Harriet McFeely says that she says there are a number of areas where the torn pieces appear to have been purposely bound by way of dexterous hands. Now, if I know anything about these terrestrial humans that you might suspect to tear up a flag of some sort, they're not very dexterous. Now, one creature known to be dexterous, the Bigfoot. You've got to have dexterity to walk on two legs. So these dexterous Bigfoots, they have tied loops and knots, and she says, get this, the loops and knots tied in the flag are similar to cases where it is believed that Bigfoot had braided the manes of horses. That's right here, Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. You're hearing it first, folks. Bigfoot, the kind and peaceful creature, known throughout the world, throughout the United States, for braiding horses' manes, a kind and gentle being, has torn down an American flag and ripped it to shreds. That's very troubling indeed. Now, Now, some say, some naysayers, some dirty scullies in the group, they say that there's no way a Sasquatch could have done this because this is elaborate handiwork done by a creature of such enormous size. How could a creature as big as a Bigfoot so delicately tear up and tie up bits of an American flag? Well, this is where Harriet McFeely posits that, and I quote, they have kids who possess far smaller fingers than their older counterparts. That's right. That's right, you're hearing it here. Bigfoot, the peaceful creature, known for braiding horses' manes with such delicate and loving fingers, is training its baby Bigfoots, the baby Bigfoots, to oppose a country with a troubling history, to tear down the flag and rip it into pieces. Are we the colonizers on Bigfoot's land? Is Bigfoot sending a message to us, listening loud and clear, saying, "You've gone too far, America. You're dealing with some real hard times, and I cannot stand by this anymore"? Is this the message that we are trying to get from Bigfoot and the baby Bigfoots? Confirmed members of ANTIFA, the anti-fascist organization with no central controlling power. Just a question we posit for you tonight. Out of the world, here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, let's check the chat here on Twitch. Is the feats dexterous? Oh, yes, well, we know that's one thing for sure. Whoa, we're seeing some UFOs pop up on screen there. I think that's thanks to our good friend, Stephen Craig. Now, Stephen, what some of you might not know is we've reached Twitch affiliate status. This is a big thing for us here on the program and every program on Met Comedy Night. What this means, essentially, is not only can you subscribe to our channel and get access to premium shows, but you'll also be able to send emotes to us. And correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but I believe when someone sends an emote, that gets us 3 cents, or it gets us 1 penny for every emote. Is that a true thing?
It is very close to 3 cents or something like that.
I think it's 1 cent, but I keep seeing three that you're posting in the chat.
It has to do with
a big spender tonight.
It has to do with bits. If you the more you watch Met Comedy Night, the more bits you collect. And if you subscribe, look, right down there. I am the most recent subscriber. Also, I've got a first badge on my name because I'm the first subscriber of Met Comedy Night. You're welcome. Oh, whoa, P. Vargas got this purple fireball hand. Oh yeah, that's cool. So yeah.
Now see, that's using the technology. That's audience engagement right there, and in some very, very, very small way, that supports the Maryland Ensemble Theater. And we all know here that Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister is brought to you by the Maryland Ensemble Theater and dedicated to them for having the guts to put us on the air. You can make donations to them by visiting marylandensemble.org/donate, hitting the donate button in the About page, or I suppose by sending those little emotes with your bits.
Another thing, Cliff, there's a special emote that Met Comedy Night has made for you. The very first emote, it's going to get approved in the next 18 to 20 hours, I hope. But it's essentially your face that's on both sides framing you, and my screen is our first emote. And so if you subscribe, you get to unlock that emote, and you could use that emote on our channels and any other Twitch channels.
Now that is some exciting information.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And I believe you were talking to me earlier. We were talking about these emotes, and we were saying what other things could people emote. And I think it'd be good if we did one. You know, when you see something crazy, you see something strange, something bizarre, something unexplained, and you just make that face. You know, that face where you're... and you gaze into the abyss of that strange thing you've seen. Well, it would be good to get an emote of my face, the czar of the bizarre, witnessing the very thing for which he foresees.
That'd be a good one.
And then whenever someone else hears a strange story on the show, they can emote just as I do.
That's the dream, for sure. Oh.
In fact, if you're watching this show, now here's some real audience interaction. If you're watching this show now, you can't post photos in the chat, but if you've got a phone, if you've got a camera with you, we want to see your strange faces for Strange Times Indeed. We want to see you make that face you make when something strange happens. It might be different from my face. It might be something different than a. Maybe Stephen. If you were to see something strange, what would you?
I got one.
So that's your face.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Smile. So,
yeah.
So if we want to see your astounded, strange faces, if you walk out into a field and you see a UFO hovering overhead and you're like, at last, they've finally come. Although you might be thinking something more terrible, something you can't explain, something bizarre. If you see that, you open the door and something surprises you. Something mysterious. The wildest thing you could ever imagine. Looks you right in the face. What's your face in that moment? That's my face, but more with the eyebrows. Because we all love things of the strange. At least certainly I do, and maybe you might make a different face in that moment. But we want to see your strange faces, so go ahead, take a selfie of your strange face, and send an email. Send that to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. This is our tip line for the show. If you want to talk about things anonymously, you can do so there. But if you send in your strange faces, we'll share them on the program. Those faces of astoundment. Now, we've got some things we just mentioned, strangetipsindeed@gmail.com, where you can send in your anonymous tips or your strange stories that maybe you don't feel comfortable calling in. Maybe you don't want to talk to me on Zoom. Maybe you find my personality just a bit abrasive. Well, I don't know what you're afraid of. There's no reason to fear calling in. But if you're really worried about the consequences of calling in, of showing your face, maybe you can't be silhouetted. Maybe you're one of those strange, those folks who have translucent skin. And when you put a thing behind them to obscure their vision, to obscure who they are, to silhouette them, you can still make out every facial feature. Clearly, I'm one of those people as well. Can't quite get the silhouette going. Oh, there's something. So if I were to appear on a news program, say I had a dark and terrible secret I was about to reveal about the U.S. government and their knowledge of extraterrestrials, I might appear on screen looking a little something like this. Like this. My voice sound like this. And I would say, hey, I work for the U.S. government, and I have knowledge about extraterrestrial societies and their interactions with the government. And they would change my voice on the news. If you don't have that kind of technology at home, and you need to submit something anonymously, you can do so at strangetipsindeed.gmail.com. strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. And we will share those right on the air. In fact, we are diving into the mailbag tonight. We've got 2 hot button letters for you that are coming from our viewers. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. I'll tell you a ghost story. Ooh. If that is I think we might have someone who might want to share a ghost story tonight. Stephen, if you post the Zoom link in there, we're going to see if they join right away. If they don't, we are going to go ahead and pull up our first letter from the mailbag. Go ahead here. All right, so the Zoom link is in the chat. If you've got a strange story to share with us tonight on Strange Times Indeed. Oh, here we go. We've got someone coming in. Got to admit him in the room. Here we go. Here we go. Look at all of the me's We are connected.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yes, yes. Who is
It's me.
calling? Also, you might want to turn the volume down on your device, so you're just listening to the Zoom audio.
It's me. Also, you might want to turn the volume down on your device.
Got it. Sorry.
That's all right. So you have a ghost story to share with us tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
Strange happening. Fighting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, are you familiar with the C&O Canal, Cliff?
Yes, I believe so.
Towpath that runs alongside it, in between the Potomac River and the canal that used to extend from DC to Cumberland, Maryland.
Ah, is that what the C stands for?
C stands for Chesapeake.
And the O. What
Never
is that?
get to Ohio.
That's why I could have sworn the O is Ohio, but if it only stretched to Cumberland, it's still got a way to go. Maybe it was just an ambitious title.
Was. It fell short.
Well, what have you witnessed on this trail?
Well, those who don't know, a lot of sections now are dry now, with trees growing up the middle and decayed leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Very still and quiet. Some parts of the canal still have water in it, but a lot of the canal is dry. And there are remnants of the trade that used to go up and down the canal. So there are old locks and old lock keepers' houses. And there are also things like big concrete blocks with iron rings set in them to tie up mules and things like that. So I'm walking along the towpath one day, and there's a figure sitting on one of the old blocks with a ring stuck into it for tying up the mules, and he's facing the empty canal. And as I approach, I see that it's an old man.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a vest on, like kind of a fisherman style vest with lots of pockets. Kind of a classic, timeless sort of apparel, big floppy hat, and a fishing pole. And the fishing pole, the line is cast into the dry canal.
Uh-huh. That's bizarre. Did he pay you any mind, this old man, fishing in an empty canal?
Well, as I approached, he didn't seem to.
Mm-hmm.
Then I asked, catch anything?
Right.
Head. Very, very still. Look at me. Pressed one finger. Then turned. I don't know really what to make of that. I just continued walking, and I turned back, look at him. He was gone.
Wow. And this, could you say again what it was he said after he pressed his finger to his lips? Oh, he just made a shushing sound.
Yes.
That is something that would be a commonplace thing for a creature, an entity to say when pressing their fingers to their lips. This happens on the C&O Canal. Now, I'm curious to know if there are any other things of hauntings. Have you heard of folks fishing in the canal? Perhaps this is a man who once
Never
lost his...
since.
I wonder if this is a man who perhaps has lost a loved one in the canal in his time alive. And every day he goes to the C&O Canal hoping to fish out what it was that he lost. That very person. Drowned in the canal, perhaps. A troubling thing that he does not wish to talk about. He does not wish to hear. He does not wish to discuss the trauma of his life. And he fishes in this canal every day. Until he himself passes away. And in spirit returns to the canal every single day in an attempt to find that which he so loves and lost within it.
Perhaps.
At least that's just my theory.
Yeah, it's a theory. It's a theory. I'm open to it. But I only saw him once. And I reversed that same path.
Do you remember where upon this path you saw it? Was there a particular mile marker? Other ghost hunters, for lack of a better term, might wish to go find them?
Well, it was between Point of Rocks and mouth of the
Right.
big aqueduct.
And how recently did you witness this specter? This spectral fisherman?
This was 25 years.
Oh, 25. It is quite some time ago. And you say you traverse this path fairly regularly, but have not witnessed him since. And I'm guessing, because it was 25 years ago, you might not have recollection of the exact date and time of day that this occurred.
It was fall, early autumn, and I had morning kindergarten, so it was in the afternoon.
All right. Well, that narrows it down, and that's fairly soon. Perhaps this is some sort of anniversary sighting, and some spirits only appear once a year on the anniversary of a horrible thing. Perhaps the anniversary of a man, the time in which a man might have thrown his beloved into the canal, and then just pretended to be fishing until, well, the dirty deed was done. It could have been a crime of sorts. And his spirit returns there every year to shush those onlookers who witnessed his horrible deed. But if this happened in the early autumn, the early autumn is upon us. It is almost time for the early autumn. So eagle-eyed searchers, folks who wish to find this specter, may be able to go out to the C&O Canal every day throughout early autumn in the afternoon. That's a pretty good narrow down to see if this specter may appear again.
Yeah, but if I come up behind you on a bike and yell on your left, please move to the right.
All right.
Fellow ghost hunters.
I might
yeah.
interject and say that's kind of difficult because all I hear is left.
Right, that's
So,
where
instinctually I jump to my left.
I say on your left.
Well, instead of saying on your left, could you say move to your right?
Steven, we gotta take this up on a bicycle etiquette.
Well, okay, all right. We'll
So
talk later.
A fair warning for any budding paranormal investigators out there who wish to find this specter. If you hear on your left, move to your right. Lydia, anything else for us this evening?
That's all tonight.
Well, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your ghost story with us tonight. We hope to use our resources within the show and this program to find out more information about this specter along the C&O Canal.
All right, let me know if you find.
Oh, you bet we will. We'll broadcast it right here. Strange Times indeed with Cliff McCallister. Lydia, thank you so much for calling. I'm removing you. Oh, look, she did it on her own. Wowie zowie, how about that technology? Oh, I'm being handled a piece of paper from off screen. Says that Steven ought to run the you have the promo for the Met Comedy Night Twitch stream? Is that something we have access to stream? It looks like it. Could we roll that for a second? All right, a half a minute. When we return on Strange Times Indeed, we will be dealing with this note I've just been handed by my producer. And then after that, we'll be diving into the mailbag. We've got 2 hot button letters For our Strange Times Indeed viewers, anonymous letters sent in to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. The titles for these emails, the messages, Squirrely Goings On, and Picture for Cliff. What could this picture be? And what is happening? Well, we'll do that right after this break. Is that enough time? I did throw this at you at the last minute. That's my bad. That works. Well, let's roll that then. Well, roll something that we like to talk about here on Strange Times Indeed. It's demon sperm and alien DNA. Now, of course, we haven't specifically talked about alien DNA, and demon sperm has not come up on this program yet. But tonight's the night. There's a time for everything. So get ready. We're going to give you the lowdown on this doctor's beliefs about demon sperm. Now, as she tells it, this sperm is impregnating all sorts of people, anyone that it enters, really, and causing all sorts of hard times. Now, she says that this demon sperm, connected to, of course, having sex with demons, because where else would you get the demon sperm? She says that this is the kind of thing that leads to medical issues like endometriosis and cysts, infertility, but also pretty much responsible for any sort of thing that could go wrong in your life. Now, she might tell you a number of things. All right, it appears that was a clip. That was certainly a video of something here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McCallister. Right before that break, whatever it might have been, well, I was handed this note from my producer, Kevin Cole. Very important things to talk about on the program tonight. Make sure to get it in before the half-hour mark with 3 minutes there. Next week, right here, twitch.tv/Met Comedy Night, we are going to be having every summer, the Maryland Ensemble Theater and the Comedy Pigs have hosted for the last 5 summers a summer comedy extravaganza. And I, Cliff McCallister, for some reason, have been tasked with telling you about the new summer extravaganza happening next week here on twitch.tv/Met Comedy Night. This will also be happening simultaneously on the Maryland Ensemble Theater's Facebook page, but you're already watching here, so why not come back to this venue? We'll be sharing our shows all week long. These Met Comedy Night shows, we've got a great lineup for you, all sorts of performers. They will be coming in, they will be performing. We are trying to raise funds for the Maryland Ensemble Theater so we can keep bringing you shows like this at no cost to the viewer, because as we all know from watching Strange Times Indeed, this show is a public service. Much like the internet, it ought to be free to everybody. But in the coming week, we will have a summer comedy extravaganza. This extravaganza of laughter and joy is titled Met Comedy Night Stuck Inside for 6 more months of summer extravaganza. Because surely we will be stuck inside doing these virtual shows for 6 more months, no matter what the governor says about opening the schools. That's just science. Now here's the lineup for next week's shows. We really hope you'll tune in here on twitch.tv/Met Comedy Night, as well as the Facebook Live. Tune in there. All these shows, big news, big fun time. So get ready. This is a very important announcement for those of you watching tonight. On Monday night next week, August 31st, is Prov Talks. You might remember Prov Talks from being the very last group to perform on the Met Comedy Night stage before everything shut down. They will be bringing their TED Talk-inspired improv show to us, an online virtual symposium of ideas. And they need your suggestions to bring these shows to life. So tune in. They're going to be presenting things for PowerPoints. The performers themselves, to break the fourth wall, will have never seen these PowerPoints before in their life. And they'll take those PowerPoints and alchemists-like, turn them into gold in front of you, comedic gold, spinning the web of the suggestions you gave and turning them in to the information you see on the PowerPoint. Sometimes I talk to Cliff without talking to the viewers. Oh. I guess that's true, the Stephen Craig. Second thing on the list on Tuesday. Tuesday at 8 o'clock. The Prof Talk show is also 8 o'clock, if I did not mention that. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we've got a special program, a one-time show called My COVID Friend and Me. These are two funny friends with one very unfunny topic. We've got Leah Seltzer from the Maryland Ensemble Theater and her friend Melissa Bogman from Landless Theater. Melissa has unfortunately been diagnosed with the COVID virus, and the two of them will be talking about this disease that has crippled our community and how it seriously affects people. It's going to be a funny show, but it'll also be a little serious at times, and sometimes that's a kind of thing you need. Keep it a little light, but remember the importance of what's happening right now. Now, Wednesday, moving on, the Comedy Pigs are going to be dropping in for a special sneak peek. They've got two shows this month, September 11th, September 18th. You tune into those shows, and then they will be performing a little sneak peek from their final dress rehearsal. That's going to be Wednesday at 9 o'clock. You can see them do a few shows, and then tune in the next week to see the full thing. After that, our friend Stephen Craig, you've seen him on the show. He's our tech director here. He hosts Over the Hump. Now, that's Met Comedy Night's morning show, but as a special treat for the summer comedy extravaganza, we will be hosting Over the Hump After Dark. I believe the plan is for Stephen and our producer, Kevin Cole, to have a discussion about comedy and all those things, and maybe some late night discussions. That's going to be happening 9:15 following the Comedy Pigs. You should have Melissa on as a guest sometime. This is from Barefoot52 in the chat. This is talking about our guest, one of the co-hosts of My COVID Friend and Me on Tuesday. He says, you should have Melissa on as a guest sometime. She works for a funeral home, so I bet she has some strange stories. Now, that's a great tip. A great tip. And remember, if you have any tips, you can always send them to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. Thursday, be sure to tune in right here, 9 o'clock, Strange Times Indeed, with myself, Cliff McCallister. We're going to have a great show for you that week. I'm not entirely sure what it'll be, but we'll get some good stuff going. Heck, maybe we'll have Melissa on as a guest. Well, she's already got a thing booked that week, but who knows? We'll see what happens. And then, to close out the week, you know them, you love them. This is going to be happening on Friday night, 9 o'clock. Everybody's favorite, Crit, the D&D improv show. They're going to be playing some games live on Twitch. So be sure to tune in then to cap things off. Now, I went on a couple tangents there, so we're gonna go over this one quick time so we can make a clip of it. This week, coming up, as part of Merit Comedy Nights, suck inside for 6 more months of summer extravaganza. On Monday, we've got Prov Talks, the TED Talk-inspired improv show. That's going to be Monday at 8 o'clock. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we've got My COVID Friend and Me, two friends, two funny friends, one unfunny conversation. Or one, wow, whoops, that's a bad, let's take two. Tuesday, we don't want to promote an unfunny conversation on the Met Comedy Night Comedy Extravaganza. Strike that from the record. We gotta get one of those. Remind me, Steven, we're gonna put in the budget one of those Ghostbusters, not a Ghostbusters, strike that from the record too. A Men in Black, a mind wipe machine from the movies. We gotta get one of those. For moments like this.
We're officially not getting one of those, everybody.
So we'll edit that out from the chat. Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, we're going to have My COVID Friend and Me, two funny friends, one unfunny topic. One very serious topic. Two funny friends. Look, we're still working. We're hammering out the marketing, folks. It's complicated. We'll fix it in the mix, they say. And Wednesday, 9 o'clock, the Comedy Pigs, they're going to be performing a little sneak peek for their upcoming shows, and then we'll follow that with Over the Hump After Dark. Thursday at 9 o'clock, be sure to tune in right back here for more Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. And to wrap things up, Friday at 9, it's Crit, the D&D themed improv show. They're going to be playing some games right here on Twitch. Pretty exciting stuff, if I do say so myself. So we hope you'll join us next week for the Met Comedy Night Summer Extravaganza. It wouldn't be summer without an extravaganza. And we really got to bring summer to a close so we can start hunting for that C&O Canal ghost that we learned about before the start of tonight's program. Now, Thank you for indulging us in that important programming note. Let's dig into the mailbag. This first email, this comes to us at strangetipsindeed.gmail.com. As Stephen, let's go ahead and just put the strange tips thing up on the top. So if people have their own tips, or if they have any feedback from hearing this email, they can send that to the email right on your screen. This is from our friend Katie. Katie says, "Greetings, Cliff. So I can't tell what we're dealing with here. Perhaps a curse, a generational curse, or maybe the wee beasties just really like our family. Who knows? But I'd like to get your opinion on the matter. And the title of this email, Swirly Goings On. You see, there's been some weirdness regarding my mum and the squirrels going back 40 plus years. When she was in college, they used to follow her to and from the train station, chattering along behind her as she walked. Every day, for like blocks at a time. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was waiting for her to get home from work. Saw a new tree-tailed ruffian. Trying to read. As I was waiting for her to get home from work, I saw a new tree, and upon examining it, realized I was being watched by none other than a fluffy-tailed ruffian. I snapped a picture, which I shall attach to this email. Let's see, bring that picture up on screen, Stephen. There we go. Now, it almost looks like I'm the squirrely creature in the tree over there. But if you turn your attention right here, you will find right there is the squirrel closest to me. But I am not the squirrely creature peering out from the tree. Now you can see the truly unsettling part is the squirrel didn't run or jump or fly or anything. They just stared at me. Très creepy. Have you ever heard of such a thing happening anywhere in your travels? Also, great show last night and on Wednesday too. I believe that's a tip of the hat to you, Stephen, and your own programming at Over the Hump. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you.
Let's bring that other squirrel up as well. I want to examine these pictures closely. Now, if you compare these two squirrels, you will find that one right over here, it almost looks as if it's peering around the corner, attempting to keep a distance as it watches our fair viewer, Katie, peering from behind a tree, looking around, watching, spying. And then another one right on the other side, right over here. Mirrors. He's right over here. The same squirrel still peering around the tree, gazing in at our friend Katie here. Now, this is very interesting because it does seem as if the squirrels are watching us. If you remember, if you go back to our very first episode, and if you tune in, if you watched our best of calls last week, it was the very first one. We had a very distraught caller who had witnessed a squirrel that was just staring at her. It came up through the window and was staring at her from right outside. I myself recounted the story of that earlier that very same day in which she calls in. I was sitting in my living room to my apartment. I glance up out the window, and there on the light pole is a squirrel just sitting there on the electricity pole, in between the electricity cables, not moving a muscle, just standing there. And it sits there vertically on this pole for almost 2 hours. So it sounds like indeed the squirrels are observing us. They are preparing for something. Could they be in cahoots with the baby Bigfoots? Ready to take down the state of America? The whole country itself? Are the squirrels and the baby Bigfoots gathering information for which they can wage a war on our country? Well, there are strange times indeed. We say it's about time. Let's check the chat. Any feedback from that? I've got a stupid squirrel that keeps raiding my bird feeder. That's right. Trying to establish dominance over the other species. I think there is a squirrel uprising coming upon us. Well, that is our first thing, our first call in from the night. Our first mailbag suggestion. This one comes from an anonymous writer. Now he writes, Cliff, I took this picture several years ago when I was in Iceland for treaty negotiations. Can we bring that picture on screen, that photograph? I don't know if I should be sharing it with you because of my sensitive government position, but I thought you'd be interested. And then it's signed anonymous. Now this might be a little difficult to make out, but as you can see, over here, as you can see on this screen, we've got these circular disc objects. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15, 16. Over on the right-hand side, at least 16 perfect discs up in the sky in a formation over the skies of Iceland, hovering over us during some sort of treaty negotiation. Now that in itself is very interesting. As you know, as we have said on the show before, anytime somebody questions the existence of extraterrestrials, one of them will beam directly into our atmosphere just to remind us that we are watching. And it seems that someone in a sensitive government position is having treaty negotiations in an area where these are coming down. We know that the extraterrestrials have reached out to our government, the American government specifically, to offer us peace, to offer us all the technology we could ever want if we just get rid of those nuclear warheads. If we would just give away our get rid of our violent ways, they would give us all the technology in the world, and here they are presenting themselves as a reminder. As top secret government treaty negotiations are going on in Iceland. Anon, thank you for this tip. If any other government officials would like to come forward with information regarding this situation, with the reminders from the extraterrestrials and the warnings of what could happen if we do not get rid of our nuclear weapons, please send them in to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. Anon, we thank you for your service. Steven, you can return the view to normal. That's not normal. There we go. Thank you. So that's some very good mailbag information coming out for you tonight. Let's check the chat. Let's see what people are saying. Saying, oh boy, I gotta send in my tips to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com, or if I've experienced anything bizarre on my own, I ought to call into this puppy. This seems like a good time. Well, nothing new since the squirrel feedback, but we do thank each and every one of you for watching. We remind you that this show is brought to you by the Maryland Ensemble Theater and dedicated to them every week because they and only they have the guts to put us on the air. You can support them by making donations at marylandensemble.org/donate or by using your Twitch bits to post little things. You send those emotes, that'll give us a penny. Penny for each emote. Now that's some exciting stuff, I think. I want to bring up some information. This is from my own research. As you know, our show, our program, our studio is based here in Frederick, Maryland, so I like to keep an ear to the ground for strange occurrences, strange goings-on in the local area. I'm a member of numerous Frederick, Maryland Facebook groups. And I want to bring on screen a post that I saw earlier today. Now, of course, this post was not intended for our show, so I did censor the name of the poster and their photograph because they might not want this information out into the larger thing. So we're treating this as an anonymous tip. Steve, if you could bring up that Facebook screen grab. This is something I wanted. So here's what we've got on the screen here. Looking for help in Frederick, Maryland. We had a terrible smell in our backyard, and after looking, found a dead raccoon between our fence. Its head through, but not the body. Any companies out there that remove something like this? Now, of course, we're not here to talk about these raccoon head removal companies, but this woman has discovered a disembodied raccoon head in her alleyway. This does not raise any red flags with her. You can bring it off the screen, Stephen. This does not raise any red flags for some reason. But here's Strange Times Indeed. I would like to stress that this is a very strange thing. Raccoon heads don't just appear disembodied. You find this odd smell of a dead thing, and then all of a sudden, you find a dead raccoon head with no raccoon body? Where'd the body go? Where'd the head go? The body can't exist without a head. Something's missing. Something sick and demented is going on here. Maybe it's our bloodthirsty governor trying to quench his unquenchable thirst for blood. Governor Larry Hogan, maybe it's him ripping raccoons, that raccoon-eating governor of ours. Perhaps that's who it is. Or perhaps it is a Frederick County chupacabra. As we all know, you're hearing him on the show tonight. Our sweet boy of the program. Our sweet, sweet boy, Spangler, the office intern, our little three-legged kitten. A survivor of a chupacabra attack. There he is on screen. Thank you, Stephen. This good boy has survived a chupacabra attack. He was found in Frederick County. Perhaps there is a chupacabra in Frederick more vicious than before. More vicious than previous blood-sucking chupacabras. This one is taking squirrels and ripping them to bits. Another follow-up here from Frady Cadigan raises the possibility. Could it be the Snallygaster? That's very possible. The Snallygaster is a historic Frederick County cryptid. Now, I do not have the necessary information prepared to prep you all on the subject of the Snallygaster tonight, but it sounds like that is a topic that would be perfect for Met Comedy Night Stuck Inside for 6 months of summer comedy extravaganza when we go live next Thursday at 9 o'clock for Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. So, that sounds like a pretty good time to me. Stephen, can we roll the animation from the beginning of the show so I can restart the record? Let's see if it's the right animation this time. That's what I'm talking about. You're watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, and of course, I am your host, Cliff McCallister. We're tuning in for the final 12 minutes of the program tonight, so we might as well go over some of the things that we've talked about already. Big news coming out of Nebraska. Is it possible that Bigfoot, that Sasquatch, America's most beloved cryptid himself, is a member of the anti-fascist organization ANTIFA? Well, here's the story, coming right out of Nebraska. A Bigfoot researcher in Nebraska believes that the famed cryptid may have been behind a mysterious incident in which an American flag at a cemetery wound up inexplicably destroyed. That's right, Harriet McFeely, who owns the Bigfoot Crossroads of America Museum in the nearby community of Hastings, was recently granted access to the flag and pointed out a number of areas where the damage appeared to indicate that Sasquatch was to blame. In a video of her study of the shredded cloth, she notes a number of areas where the torn pieces appear to be purposefully bound in a way by way of dexterous hands. She argued that those loops and knots are similar to the cases where it is believed that the Bigfoot has braided the mane of horses. That's right, Bigfoot, the beloved peaceful creature. Have you thought about recording the background music? You don't have to keep resetting the needle. No, because we'll get to that comment in a second. Anyway, this is the thing about Bigfoot, a beloved peaceful creature. Now, you ask me, do I think Bigfoot's come in peace? Do I think they are a violent species or a peaceful species. Well, here at Strange Times Indeed, we believe that the Bigfoots, that Sasquatches, are a peaceful race. As mysterious as they are not known to be violent to human beings. Though it does seem, as of this recent development, that they are violent to the American flag. But they are known for being peaceful, loving creatures that will braid the manes of horses in their free time. You picture it. Picture it, if you will, a Lisa Frank painting or a less problematic creator. A unicorn, a beautiful horse with its mane being braided by a Bigfoot. Now, if there are any fan artists out there, or just artists in general, you can create a beautiful image of a Bigfoot braiding a horse's hair, a beautiful horse. Well, we would love to see that and share it on our program. Now, something about this so troubling, a creature as peaceful as Bigfoot, suddenly ripping up and tearing an American flag? I think this means that Bigfoot is onto something. Bigfoot has been paying attention to the goings-on of the world. Now, perhaps Bigfoot owns a television, or perhaps, as some believe, Bigfoot is a telepathic creature that has tapped into the overall vibe that is going on in America right now. And let me tell you something, that vibe is not good. And it's very possible that Bigfoot, perhaps the leader of Antifa, Bigfoot, the president of the anti-fascist organization, Antifa, Bigfoot, is going to cemeteries and tearing apart American flags, tying knots in them. Now, some think a Bigfoot might be too big to do such a thing, too big to do something without doing it clumsily. Well, that's where you're wrong, because Harriet McFeely, the owner of the Bigfoot Crossroads of America Museum, has pointed out that Bigfoots have kids who possess far smaller fingers than their older counterparts. That's right, Bigfoot babies, the child soldiers of Antifa, are tearing apart American flags, sending us a message to change our ways, to let people know that Black Lives Matter, to do all sorts of the things that Antifa is fighting for in the streets. And that cause, that fight, is being led by none other than Bigfoot and its child soldiers of Bigfoot babies. Well, here at Strange Times Indeed, we tell you we stand with you, Bigfoot. We stand with you in your fight for equality. If you gotta tear up a flag to make your point and then hide back in the woods so you can do your organizing, we understand. You wouldn't be a cryptid if you were out in the daylight every day. Keep it up, Bigfoot. That's from Cliff McCallister at Strange Times Indeed. Now, earlier tonight, we also got a call from a viewer, Lydia. She tells us the story of a strange sighting at the C&O Canal here in Maryland. The C&O Canal, as some stand for Chesapeake and Ohio Canal, a canal that was meant to stretch from the Chesapeake Bay all the way to Ohio. Of course, it didn't get there. They ran out of money or something before they got to that point. But this canal, once teeming with water, once meant for boats to flow through it, now sits empty. And 25 years ago, our viewer Lydia, while traveling the C&O Canal after morning kindergarten in the early autumn, witnesses an elderly man by the side of the river fishing into an empty canal. And she says to this man, "Do you catch anything? What you fishing for?" Something to that effect. The man fishing, his line cast into an empty canal. So our viewer Lydia walks on from this, going about her life, and she turns around one last glance at this old man at the canal, and he's gone. Strange times indeed. That's one of the many stories you may hear or share if you call into our call-in program, Strange Times Indeed, with Cliff McCallister. Of course, we encourage you to call in. There's no more time tonight. But if you watch this show and you've got something you want to share with us, share with the world, you can join us on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight, and we'll put the Zoom link in the chat. You can join and share your strange tales with us. Now, a programming note, this next week, starting Monday through Friday, it's Met Comedy Nights Stuck Inside for 6 more months of summer extravaganza. They're going to be having comedy shows every single night that week. Monday night, they've got Prov Talks, a TED Talk-inspired improv show. That's Monday night at 8. Tuesday night at 8, it'll be a program called My COVID Friend and Me. This is a one-time special with Leah Seltzer and Melissa Bogman. 2 funny friends, 1 unfunny topic. On Wednesday, 9 o'clock, we've got the Comedy Pigs. They'll be giving us a special peek into their rehearsal that night as they prepare for their upcoming shows on September 11th and 18th. And then after that, you can join us right here, us being my producer, Kevin Cole, and our technical director, Stephen Craig, for Over the Hump After Dark. Will we get dirty? You'll have to tune in and watch. And of course, Thursday, 9 o'clock, be sure to join us for Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, where I, your host, Cliff McCallister, the czar of the bizarre, discuss all things strange and take viewer calls to hear their strange and unexplainable encounters. And of course, Friday night, to close us off at 9 o'clock, it will be Oh Crit, everyone's favorite D&D themed improv group. They're going to play some games right here on Twitch to close out the extravaganza. All of that to raise money for the Maryland Ensemble Theater. Of course, this show, Strange Times Indeed, is brought to you by the Maryland Ensemble Theater, who have the guts to put us on the air. You can support them by making donations to marylandensemble.org/donate or by clicking a button somewhere on your screen. Now let's get back to the chat to close things out. We've got some important questions that came in. Here we go. This is the question I promised to address a little earlier in the program. Have you thought about recording the background music so you don't have to keep resetting the needle? Well, here's a little peek behind the scenes. When we don't get callers to the show, I have to talk for a whole hour. And when we do get callers for the show, I at least have to talk for about 45 minutes. You count the time I'm in dialogue with the caller. So having to reset the needle is a nice excuse for me to get up and shut up for about 30 seconds and rest my voice so I can make it through the whole time. It's all structured so that I don't lose my voice during this programming. It's why I take baby sips of water from my Kecksburg UFO crash mug throughout the program. Keeps, your vocal cords, those are your instrument. When you work in broadcasts like me, you've got to protect them. You've got to protect your instrument. The body is a church. And my body is the Winchester Mystery House. And I've got to protect everything that's inside it by taking little sips of water throughout the program. And being able to reset the record, one, gives it a nice homely feel for me, but also gives me a couple seconds to rest my voice. Also, the Stephen Craig, our very first subscriber here on Twitch, he is paying $5 a month to follow us, and that money supports the Maryland Ensemble Theater. Twitch gets a bit of it, but the Maryland Ensemble Theater does too. And even though Stephen Craig is our technical director, he gets paid to do this. We believe in the Maryland Ensemble Theater so much, we'll give back to it, even if they're paying us. Don't get paid that much, but every little bit helps, especially during these times. It's what keeps us on the air, so donate to MarylandEnsembleTheater.org and Stephen Craig, or subscribe here. Why not both? The Stephen Craig says here, the record also has superior audio quality, and that's true. You cannot find Wendy Carlos's Switched on Bach on iTunes or Spotify for that matter. So you've got to listen to it on the record. There's no other way. It's the only way to fly when it comes to Wendy Carlos. Now, if you subscribe to us here on Twitch, we'll be telling more about it next week during the extravaganza, but there'll be special premium shows. You'll get access to a Met Comedy Night Discord where you can talk with performers and show creators alike, interact with all of them. You can interact with me there. But we'll also have special premium shows that only subscribers get to see. And let me tell you, I've been using our friend Forest Ranger Steve has given me access to his Hulu account because he finds there are some very pressing Strange Times Indeed themed documentaries on there. And there are movies we will be having. If you subscribe to our program, if you become a subscriber, we'll have premium shows where you can pull us up on your computer, pull up Hulu on your TV. We're going to sync the stream together. We're going to watch some of these strange movies together. You and Cliff McCallister, it'll be like a date. But you got to subscribe to twitch.tv/MetComedyNight. Help support the theater. You should check out the Legends and Ghosts section of the Wikipedia page about the canal. Barefoot52, thank you for that tip. We'll be talking about the Snallygaster next week on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, a Frederick County icon, as we go to raise money for the Maryland Ensemble Theater here in Frederick County. And we'll check out the Ghosts and Legends section of the C&O Canal's Wikipedia page. In fact, we'll do even more research than that. We'll look beyond their Wikipedia page. And we'll get you the truth about the ghosts and spirits and spectral beings that have been encountered at the C&O Canal. That's next week on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. And of course, next week, if you've got a strange story to tell, you are always welcome to call in. That just about wraps up our program tonight. I've been your host, Cliff McCallister. A special thank you to our producer, Kevin Cole, and our technical director, Stephen Craig. Give him a bow or a fist bump, whatever suits your spirit. Remember, if you see something strange, what strange face are you going to make? We want to see your strange faces. Send them to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. You can also send over any strange tips you have, and we'll discuss them on the show as we did tonight. Thank you to Katie and our anonymous messenger for sending in their information, their emails for this program. All this kind of stuff helps keep the show going, and we really appreciate it. Thanks to each and every one of you for watching. This has been Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I'm your host, Cliff McCallister. Stay strange, terrestrials. Oh, yeah. Now that's television. What do you think? How do you think it went? Sometimes I'm like, I'll get off the show and I'm like, woo, I'm on a high from it. And sometimes I'll get to the end and I'm like, I think that went well. But it's also tough because like there's no instant audience feedback like if it were on a stage. So I'm just like, well, I guess it went good. Right. Wow, okay. Like a giveaway, sure. I love that. Hey, the mics are still hot. My dad says the mics are still hot. Thank you.
Tune in next week for the extravaganza, and we'll be gifting a sub every single night.
Who was that third person on the chat? That other voice? Oh, who are you talking about, Cliff? Oh, I didn't see you there, Kevin. I guess that's you, isn't it? Yeah, it's me, the producer of the show. Wow, well, I guess people don't usually see or hear from you because, well, I'm such a big star. Oh, yeah, Cliff, I guess that's true. While we're here, while the audience is listening in, I want to say I had a thought for the subscriber-only show, some kind of like premium content. I know we're talking about doing the movie nights and stuff, but I thought this might be something that's kind of fun, too. Yeah, well, what is on your mind, Kevin? Please share with me here for the people who are still watching the program, but mostly for me, as we must have turned off the mics by now. Well, I'm sure we've turned the mics off, but I'll tell you anyway, Cliff. I had this idea where what if after the show, we open the show up to our Discord followers. You know, when you subscribe to the Met Comedy Night Twitch page, yeah, you're going to get access to a Discord page where you can chat with everybody who's on the show. Yes, I do believe I mentioned something like that around the end of the program. Oh yeah, you're right. I was listening to the whole time, and not on the phone, of course. You know, I paid attention to everything you said. It's something that a skill I really honed working in morning television was my ability to pay complete attention to something on TV, to the news, and not just look at my phone the whole time that I'm hearing a news story for the 10th time during the day, and get away with it too. Not a skill I ever developed, I guess. Well, an interesting factoid. I don't know why you needed to share that with us here. I don't know. I guess I'm just feeling honest tonight, and I wanted to tell you about this idea, but I thought it might be fun if after the show, for the people who are on the Discord, we did an extra show. Like, you know how after The Walking Dead, they had The Talking Dead? Well, what if we did like Strange Talks Indeed? And I was there, and you were there, and Steven was there, and we just talked about how we thought the show went. I think that'd be kind of fun. Oh, yeah, like the three of us, all in conversation. Cliff McCallister, Kevin Cole, and Stephen Craig.
Yeah, I think I could do that. I'd be after the show, just chat to some of the audience members, and talk about how it went, but also like more talk about some of the bizarre stories in depth, like a conversation, right?
Yeah, something like that. I think that could be a fun thing that people could experience. Wow, you know, that's a fun idea. You know, let's think it over. I'll talk to you later. Steven, let's go home.